Well, I guess we got our first major sell-off of 2021. Hey everybody, happy Monday. Hope you're in decent spirits. We certainly got a major sell-off overnight here. It's kind of winding down now, but you never know. It may be continuing by the time you're watching this video. Hopefully not. However, if that is the case, trying to insert some optimism here, maybe it's a good buying opportunity for you, depending on your position. It's not financial advice, of course. For anybody that's new to the crypto space, you may notice I'm sounding a little bit, casual, a little bit nonchalant. We dipped 20%. Total market cap down 19.4% in the span of 24 hours. One thing that you have to get used to is kind of this sort of volatility. And you never want to overexpose yourself. If you did, take that as a lesson, change your strategy going forward. But this is not uncommon. And, we've been calling for a 15, a 20, a 25, a 30% correction here. In some ways, we were overdue. So if you're new to this space, don't be discouraged. This is a blip on the radar. It's going to be erased as the weeks and the months and the years go by. It's something that you won't even remember. That's something I can guarantee. But again, being said, if you were liquidated, if you were over leveraged in one way or another, take this as a learning opportunity and move forward, because now more than ever, I think the opportunities are presenting themselves. Remember, if you want to have a Rockefeller mentality, if you want to have like an oil baron mentality, the way to get rich is to buy up assets when blood is running in the streets. Or to take something a little bit more modern, consider Warren Buffett's advice. Be fearful when others are greedy, but be greedy when others are fearful. So with all of that being said, again, none of this is financial advice, but yes, if you were waiting for a dip, you've certainly got your dip. Okay, we're going to be discussing some of the reasons why this has all happened. We had a major high-profile resignation from a major project in the cryptocurrency space. You likely know what I'm talking about. We've also gotten this FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority out of the UK. Some are saying that that's what's triggered all of this FUD. They've been advising that, hey, cryptocurrencies are kind of risky, actually. So we've had just this cascading chain reaction of people, I guess, fleeing and selling their assets. It's all pretty crazy in my opinion. I don't think their warning warrants it. I don't think the FCA really has any credibility when it comes to crypto, and who are they to comment and who are they to have influence on this space anyway? Nevertheless, that is what's happening. So we're going to be discussing a little bit of that FUD, and I'm going to try to sandwich in kind of on opposite ends of the video. So at the beginning now and at the end, a little bit of positivity. So overall, we're going to address the negatives, but we're also going to discuss some positives, stories here, beginning with this piece in particular on altcoinbuzz.io. So YfDFI injects the staking fees back into the community. This piece by Deepika. The community-powered DeFi project YfDFI kicked off 2021 with 3 exciting updates for the community. One is already out, and the community is certainly super excited about it. So the fact that staking fees are coming back means ultimately higher rewards for the community, which I don't think anybody is upset about. This is going to drive both user acquisition as well as retention. You can check out the story here in full. We'll link to it in the description below. You can also check out the details here. Other info can be found on Etherscan. About 60% of the total supply is being locked for staking rewards, which of course is very encouraging. And the first wallet with 56% is a dedicated staking DApp with 375% APY. That's until April of 2020. And the wallet with 500 YFD locked in contract is the new Ferrum staking event, which is going on for revenue redistribution. More details on that here, guys. You can check out Deepika's article. We'll link to it below. In other kind of more broad, I suppose, macroscopic news, World.One Exchange here on Twitter talking about what's happening with the digital yuan. The People's Bank of China, the PBOC, they've expanded their central bank digital currency, their CBDC pilot project, to now include a so-called contactless hard wallet and NFC, that's near field communication wearables, that enable consumers to make in-store and transit fare payments with their digital yuan. Extremely high tech. This is also being covered here on Cointelegraph.com. State-owned Chinese bank rolls out ATMs for digital yuan. So they're expanding ultimately this idea, this pilot project, in all kinds of different directions and vectors right now. China's efforts to develop a centrally issued digital currency took a leap forward on Sunday as the state-owned Agriculture Bank of China launched the first digital yuan ATMs. And if you've not heard of the Agriculture Bank of China, they're one of the country's so-called Big Four state-owned banks, which collectively represent the four largest banking institutions in the world. Manager of the bank's Digital Yuan Innovation Lab, Zhou Hua, said the ATM rollout was part of efforts to guide citizens towards the eventual digitization of cash. Quote, Agricultural Bank has taken the lead in launching the ATM cash deposit and withdrawal function in the industry to guide Shenzhen residents to adapt to the digitization of cash and explore service transformation. And then here you have that piece that World.One was referring to earlier, in which they're piloting not only that digitization of cash via the digital yuan, but implementing NFC near frequency communication implementation for said cash. So China's taking this very seriously. And I've talked about CBDCs quite a few times now. I'm a little bit, let's say, ambiguous in terms of my opinion, because certainly they're not cryptocurrencies. Even if they're based on cryptography, even if there's some blockchain technology built into them, CBDCs, you have to remember, are central bank technologies, and therefore they are centralized. They are not decentralized. But, even if we are the most diehard decentralized crypto proponents in this space, we have to keep in our minds a sense of what's happening behind the scenes, because all of this context plays into the state of affairs right now in technology, in finances, even in geopolitics to a certain extent. And China is leading the way. This is a very serious undertaking for them, and they're only getting more and more aggressive with their efforts. So maybe not good news, maybe not bad news per se, but just something that I think we all have to keep aware of in the back of our minds. Milan Czech here just found out that Corona Test Center at Frankfurt Airport is using IOTA token, IOTA, as underlying technology. All right. Unfortunately, cannot share more due to privacy protection, but this is huge news. Adoption onwards. We've seen different articles and write-ups about VeChain actually doing some pretty encouraging things when it comes to coronavirus, when it comes to vaccine tracking and different kinds of tracking in this space. So add IOTA to the list now. Pretty impressive and a positive certainly for adoption of cryptocurrency. Real-world, pragmatic use cases. Of course, that's what it's all about here on Cointelegraph.com. IOTA blockchain used to track COVID-19 test results at Frankfurt Airport. So Uberk, a blockchain-based cybersecurity technology provider based in Cologne and several other locations, has developed the IT infrastructure for a solution it calls the, quote, Digital Corona Test Certificate. The solution supports verification of an individual's SARS-CoV-2 status while remaining compliant with European data protection standards under GDPR framework. An Uberk representative explained, quote, Uberk anchors an anonymous digital fingerprint in a blockchain. This way, an individual's certified SARS-CoV-2 status can easily be verified by the airline at the departure gate, the arrival airport, or any other entry point by scanning a QR code. Important to know is that at no point during the process are person-specific user data or test results visible in the blockchain. And they've commented specifically about how IOTA is being implemented. Quote, among others, we use IOTA for making the corona test results verifiable. We are working with IOTA for a while now. Our public anchors are in the main tangle for broad trust. In fact, we put trust anchors in multiple blockchains. Okay, and some more positive news before we get on to the nasty stuff. We have this bar and restaurant owner out of New York who is undaunted in terms of his enthusiasm for both Bitcoin and for Ethereum. So here, NewYorkPost.com, NYPost.com rather. New York City bar owner and crypto enthusiast Patrick Hughes. He's offering to sell 2 of his popular restaurants in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of Manhattan in exchange for cryptocurrency. Here's the price tag, 25 Bitcoins or 800 Ethereum tokens for both. It's a value of approximately $875,000 by current cryptocurrency prices. That strikes me as, in terms of both dollar and crypto amounts, as extremely cheap. Talking about 2 restaurants in Hell's Kitchen, presumably they're locked down right now. Maybe that's part of it, but $875,000 or 25 Bitcoin for 2 restaurants? That it's like a price tag to me that seems too cheap for even one of them, let alone 2. But there you have it. This is obviously a very casual example, but we're going to be seeing more and more of this in the years ahead once we kind of not even hit a critical mass or a threshold, but there are going to be more and more people just like Mr. Russell Okung out of the NFL. Here you have Mr. Hughes, a bar owner. You're going to have different entrepreneurs, different business people that are going to be striking up deals or payment contracts in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And I know right now it's kind of a novelty, and here he is, he's smiling on the cover of the New York Post. He's obviously serious about it, but it's still a bit of a jokey tone. I think it's going to get very serious very quickly. You're going to see real estate being exchanged for cryptocurrency, home sales, retail, commercial real estate, and businesses for that matter. So expect to see more of this, and best of luck to Mr. Patrick Hughes. In a quick bit of news here, Bitcoin mining firm Bit Digital, ticker BTBT, now has a market value above $1 billion. That is up from only $6.2 million a year ago. You can check out this chart here going back to January of 2020. So again, $6.2 million about a year ago, now up above $1 billion. Just wanted to call these guys out quickly. BTBT, Bit Digital, major congratulations, major kudos. Hope you guys can experience continued success. 1inch here is in the news. Last bit of positivity before we get into the negative stuff. 1inch tweeted that they have achieved $10 billion in total volume. That's $222 million in the last 24 hours and $1 billion in the last 7 days. Those are crazy numbers. 1inch community is getting stronger and stronger and larger. So congrats to them. If you guys haven't explored 1inch, we've certainly covered them in the past. Now may be a good time. All right, brace yourselves, everybody. We're talking about here resignations. The resignation as Chief Technical Officer or Technology Officer of Block.One. So let's get into it here. Daniel Larimer, he's the CTO of EOSIO, developers Block, and he's also one of the founders of early crypto exchange BitShares and blockchain-based social media platform Steem. Daniel Larimer announced in a short blog post today that he has resigned. Here's what he had to say. I've worked with Brendan and Block.One for the past 4 years and am proud of the EOSIO software I was able to create and launch with the help of an extremely talented group of engineers. Alas, all good things must come to an end. And as of December 31st last year, 2020, so a little over a week ago, I have resigned my position as CTO of Block.One. I will continue on my mission to create free market voluntary solutions for securing life, liberty, property, and justice for all. I do not know exactly what is next, but I am leaning toward building more censorship-resistant technologies. That's something that we need right now, big time. I have come to believe that you cannot provide liberty as a service, and therefore I will focus my attention on creating tools that people can use to secure their own freedom. I wish Block.One the best with their future endeavors. Now, I don't think it's wise to be too reactive to this. I don't even think it's all that big a deal. It never looks good when the leadership of a project leaves, but there's a difference between a leaving and abandoning something. And, so many people are so quick to cry foul and yell about exit scams. That's not what this is. For all we know, that there's something else that's going on in this guy's life. There's another project that he wants to start up. Maybe something personal is going on. Maybe he's just bored. It happens, guys. A lot was said about Charlie Lee when he left Litecoin, obviously as the head of that project. And it didn't look great when he also sold his assets at the top and then also bounced and left the project. It's not the best look in the world. But look, these things happen, and there is, I think, a discussion to be had about whether or not, you necessarily need an individual at the helm of the ship if the projects that they're working on are purported to be decentralized, if their architecture is such that they truly are decentralized on the blockchain. Maybe it's a good thing that they're not, associated correspondingly to one strong personality or individual or one person's leadership. They're kind of beyond the scope of that influence. There have been discussions about that. I know Vitalik has raised issues related to that. So, look, I don't think it's a big deal. And people obviously are going to overreact, but it's kind of my take. I don't think it's that big a deal. Obviously, if you engage in any kind of verifiable criminal activity and then you leave a project, that's a totally different story. But I look at this, I read it, I kind of shrug, I say, all right, hey, Daniel, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. That's all. That is my take. And I realize that some of you will maybe disagree with that. But hey, if so, let me hear it in the comments below. I'm happy to square off with you. Okay, FCA news. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority sticking their nose into our business and creating all kinds of messiness here. So this on fca.org.uk. Who pays attention to what the FCA has to say about cryptocurrency? That's what I don't understand. How is this influencing anything at all? Who cares? Nevertheless, here's the headline. FCA warns consumers of the risks of investments advertising high returns based on crypto assets. The FCA is aware that some firms are offering investments in crypto assets or lending or investments linked to crypto assets that promise high returns. Investing in crypto assets or investments and lending linked to them generally involves taking very high risks with investors' money. If consumers invest in these types of products, they should be prepared to lose all their money. And here they break down some of the risks. They include consumer protection, price volatility, product complexity, charges and fees, marketing materials, and what to do. Oh, they're giving us advice on what to do. How altruistic. I think the only risk right now is when the FCA comes out with the bogus statement and they try to virtue signal and control the activity of consumers both in the UK and abroad. That's what bothers me, is that, like this particular national branch of a financial authority, in this case it's UK based, is making all these comments, and it's affecting a set of global assets here that are now hurting as a result of some advice that, honestly, we didn't ask for in the first place. That's a bit of a hardline stance, I suppose, but that's how I look at it. And look, people are very jittery in cryptocurrency. I mentioned at the outset that if you're new to this space, a 20-25% drop is pretty scary, but it's not all that bad, and it really does smooth itself out in the long term. And in fact, as the months and the years go by, you're going to completely forget about it. Not only are you going to forget about it, you won't even be able to see it in your rear view mirror. So FCA, you may have won this battle. You got your point across, but we're going to bounce back stronger and better and bigger than ever. So screw you. We definitely took a hit, however. Right now, it seems that we're making a recovery, but hey, look, that could change too. So as of right now, there seems to be a recovery that's taking place, but Bitcoin dipping below $32,000. So a crazy wild swing, about 10K, a little under 25% from the all-time highs that we just made, a little bit, actually just below 42K. So, whatever your opinion of the FCA out of the UK, this did have an impact. Partially, I think, due to that news, and partially, I think we were just due for a correction in the first place. So it's kind of a perfect storm, negative news with Dan Larimer, negative warnings and advisories out of the FCA, and just a very overheated market that needed a correction in the first place. And that's another thing I should have mentioned, I've neglected to, is that a correction is ultimately good for the health of the assets that we track, and it's going to be good in the long term. Nevertheless, we certainly, had some blood that was drawn here. A total of $2.74 billion in positions got liquidated over the past 24 hours. So those are futures positions. And that hurts. But look, we'll bounce back, as I said, and we'll move on from this. If you want to dwell on the negative, I'll link to this in the description below. Bitcoin hit with $2.7 billion futures liquidation frenzy. What happens next? You can check out their take here on Cointelegraph.com, but I'd like to move on. CZ Binance with a little bit of optimism, a little bit of humor, I suppose. Even though we can't buy the dip, we still only get paid in crypto. Kind of like buying in other people's cents, and it's a good thing. Not yet feeling bullish? Take a look at what Tyler Winklevoss has to say. 23.6% of all US dollars were created last year. 23.6% of all of them. Cash is trash. Bitcoin is your only protection from the rampant inflation that is at our doorstep. When in doubt, guys, zoom out. Don't let a one-day sell-off event taint your perspective. Again, excuse me, especially if you're new to this space. Take a broad perspective and realize what's going on here at the macro level. Finally, just in case you're not convinced, Tim Draper with this last dose of optimism. Banks don't like Bitcoin, FCA, because it makes them less relevant. I know FCA isn't a bank, but you get my sentiment. So, continues Tim, you are seeing their attempted manipulation over the weekend. Bitcoin 250,000 by the end of 2022 or early 2023. And don't forget, you actually have banks themselves in an epic level of hypocrisy. I'm looking at you, JP Morgan, that are calling for a much higher price, somewhere beyond $600,000 in actually a shorter term. So by the end of 2022. Just saying, don't be discouraged. Stay positive, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army, and there is a lot happening in this space. The flow of news never ever stops. I've likened it before to trying to drink out of a fire hydrant or a fire hose. It's crazy. So my recommendation to you is to keep following us on all the regular social media channels. That includes Instagram, that includes Telegram, that includes Twitter, that includes Facebook as well. Keep checking back into our website, altcoinbuzz.io, for all the latest. Like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell, guys, to receive notifications. That way you are up to speed when we do release new information. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Monday, this bloody Monday. We had a Sunday, bloody Sunday, and now, so far, at least a Monday, bloody Monday. But like I said, robber baron mentality. The way to riches is to buy up assets when blood is running in the streets. That is the only way to buy up assets for pennies on the dollar. Not financial advice, but more of a philosophical recommendation, I suppose. So that being said, best of luck if you do choose to invest, everybody. Stay safe out there, and as always, we hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.